Head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, the one and only Rod Brind'Amour joins us. I promise we will get to things other than hockey in this conversation, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I think I should almost have a regular spot now at this point. What do you think?
I'm good with it. You tell me. You tell me what works, and we will do it. And there will be times we will not talk hockey at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
You got it.
All right.
I haven't seen that yet, but let's see. Fire away. Let's go. What do you got for me?
All right. Let's just start with because we have some additions to the roster. So let's start with the most recent one, Nick Ehlers. New left wing, right wing. I don't know where you're planning on playing. What do you like about the player? And then we'll go from there.
Well, what's the like is obvious. The stuff that stands out when you watch him play is the speed and then the skill level. So that's a great combination. And to be honest, the consistency of that, too, over the years. Like, he's been a pretty consistent player with those numbers and whatnot. So I think you're going to add a guy that can put a little more offense into our group and, a little flair as well. So I think that's obviously welcome.
He said that he had conversations with you in this process, and he felt like you guys were on the same page with what your vision for his role was on the team. So do you see him playing either the right or can he play both right and left? And do you see him playing with Sebastian?
Well, I think that's obviously where we would try to start him. I mean, that's one of the reasons bringing him in, I think, is to see if we can have a, connect there with Seabass. And obviously we got some good options too with other guys, but I think that's be the starting point, and we'll see where it all goes. Obviously, I think he can help too on the special areas of the game, right? Like the power plays and the 4-on-4s, and we get into overtimes. Those are real key parts of the game, certainly in the regular season, and that's part of his skill set. So we're excited to get him in the mix, and a lot of potential there.
All right, let's talk about the other one. And I saw the video that was released, and you compared K'Andre Miller to when Carolina brought in Brady Shea. The obvious comparison is it's the same team. You brought Shea in from the Rangers, Miller coming over from the Rangers, also a left shot defenseman. What is it about Miller that you think will fit in your system?
Well, I think any D can fit in a system. I think it's just his skill set obviously is a little more, I guess, advantageous to his skill set too, like with the skating and the size and the reach and the covering ground. And I think his offensive mind, I think he's trying to get up in the play. You watch, he's got that ability. Looks like he's got a pretty good shot. That's kind of where the comparisons came in to, our good friend Brady Shea. So obviously that's pretty high praise in my opinion. We don't know the kid at all, so that's going to take some time. But I think it's a good change for him. I think it's going to be a good change of scenery, and obviously you can't. That position is just so valuable. And if we're thinking that he's going to be a top end D-man, which is obviously why we're reaching out to get him, I think this could be a real good fit.
I'm going to ask you about where in a minute, but I go back to the 23 series against the Rangers, and Adam Fox had a great year in 23, and they have other great defensemen. And for my money, I thought Miller was their best defenseman in that series. I thought that was the best I had ever seen him play in a long stretch, because I thought he was an elite player in that series. Does he play with a physical edge? Would you like to see maybe more of that, or you just want him to be who he is?
I think just the first thing you're doing is bringing him in and make sure he's comfortable and play his game, and then now can we add, right? Can we make you even better player? So that's kind of the other stuff that you're talking about. If that's not part of his game naturally, can we get that out of him or add that to his repertoire? I mean, that's what it's all about with every player essentially. So it's I think a great move for our organization, and like I said, I mean, obviously lot to be remains to be seen, but pretty good steps by management.
25 years old, 6'5", 210 pounds. That's not easy to add to a group, and he's already had 5 good years in the NHL. Rod Brind'Amour is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. 7 defensemen on the roster right now. Mike Riley was also added, and I think sneaky, really good move to add somebody with that much NHL experience as potentially, a 6-7 on your blue line. But right now, 5 of the 7 defensemen under contract play on the left side or are left shot. They can't all play on the left side because you have a big hole in the right. So who do you have in your mind who might step over and play the right side?
Yep. I think it's interesting because it's kind of a moot point. I know, we can fill time here talking about it, but everybody's probably going to move around a little bit this year. Maybe, in the past it wasn't quite that way.
Uh-huh.
But I think just because there's some unknowns, somebody's going to have to move over. We like our group. Does Walks get a chance to play up a little more? Do we do Nikishin up and see, or do we, got to be careful about pushing him too hard. He's got a lot to learn. So I think all this is going to, kind of work itself out. But it's just great to have, a lot of good options.
I don't know if you know this. I do a podcast, and I also speculated about how the defense would line up. And I said, there's a boring way of looking at this, and then there's a more creative way of looking at it. And the boring way is probably maybe the way to start, where you just elevate Jalen Chatfield and Sean Walker, moving them up a little bit, and you let Keandre Miller get ready, playing behind Slavin on the left side, and you give Nikishin a chance to grow, playing him in a third-line role, and maybe move Gostisbehere over to play the right side, because he did play the right a little bit. I know there was a playoff game where he played the right, and I talked to Chip Tracy about it. Thought it might have been the best game he played with the Hurricanes. I know that maybe that's not boring, but is that maybe an easy way to start?
Well, I think that makes sense, right? And I think, moving guys over to their offsides is not ideal, especially in today's game with the puck pressure that everyone puts on. So people don't understand that. It's tough when you jam a guy up and he's got to take that extra second to handle it on his offside. All of a sudden, that's how turnovers happen. So what you mentioned, having Ghost go over there, he's one of our more talented players, so that makes sense, right? Like if you're just, sitting there going, well, let's try him because he probably can handle it the best. But like we said, there's going to be a lot of, I think, experimentation in that group. But I think every option should be a solid one.
Did you feel, before I move on to one more thing, did you feel almost like you were restricted in shuffling the deck defensively last year?
I don't think it was restricted. I just think it was, to be honest, we were still one of the best defensive teams in the league. So it's not like it was like, oh, man, we got to change things up. I never really felt that way. It was hard because you're comparing it to the years previous and where we had, probably the best maybe. Top 4, just shut down, really solid, and it wasn't quite the same, but still pretty good. But, I think now this year, like I said, with new guys coming in, you don't really know. So maybe it does free you up a little bit to try new things.
All right, let me ask you one thing about the roster, and I know that there's been this search, and it's not just Carolina doing it. A lot of teams around the league are looking for another center to play in the top 6, and Carolina hasn't been able to go out and locate one via trade. There really wasn't one available in free agency once Sam Bennett re-signed with Florida. Would you consider a Jarvis or even a Logan Stankoven moving them to center and reconfiguring your lines?
Well, it's for sure a consideration. You just look at now with the additions that we have, it's pushing some wingers, if not down the lineup, maybe even out, right?
Right.
And so that's to avoid that, then somebody would have to slide in there. And so, that's something you definitely, tossing around. And both those guys you mentioned, haven't played center in the NHL, but they did at younger days, which, helps a little bit. So I can, not 100% say that that's going to happen, but it's definitely an option that we're seriously looking at.
Younger days for a 22-year-old Logan Stankoven, or what, a 24-year-old Seth Jarvis, if he's even 24, that they were like 8 in their younger days. Do you think Seth would be a good center?
I think he would. I think it kind of goes back to where you would remember the debate about putting Marty Natchez at center, and that doesn't mean they wouldn't be able to do it. Are you losing some of the high-end stuff that they do on the wing?
Mm-hmm.
And is it really worth it? Like, okay, play center, now you're taking the 30 guy can pump in 30 and he gets 20, but he's playing good defense. Is that worth it?
Right.
It's kind of that concept. You don't want to take some of your best players and make them worse by playing a position it is really hard. It's a hard position to play. So, or it just adds another element, I guess, that takes away from your offense. You don't want that. So that's kind of the dilemma, and really we won't know until we do try it.
Yeah, and that's why we have 6 preseason games, although these guys aren't going to play 6 preseason games. Oh, are you in favor of an 84-game NHL season, regular season?
I'm in favor for they're going to have 4 preseason games, and then 84. I'm in favor of 88 regular season games and 0 preseason games. If you want to be the honest truth, so whatever way lessens the one, and I'm good with adding the other.
Gotcha.
We don't want to get too carried away, but really, what I would love to see is the season just start earlier so that we can end earlier. And just it just feels like when it gets going into June that it's just dragging a little bit. Unless you're teams that are in it, the interest level kind of everybody's thinking about other things. So love to see us figure a way as a league to speed it up a little bit without jamming up the whole season.
All right. Plus, if we end earlier, there's more time to watch the hot dog eating contest. Did you watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? I
didn't this year.
What do you mean this year? You've watched it before?
Honest, we used to watch it as a family when my older ones were littler. It was kind of a thing we would do because we were always with another family, and it was kind of a tradition. But to be honest, the last few years it was not that good. So we kind of just fell off it. So I know he won again, right?
He did.
Won again.
He made his comeback.
Did he even have anybody come close?
I don't think so.
I can tell you they did not because I watched it, Rod. No one was close.
I can't watch it. I just can't. I can't stay with it.
He needs to have somebody that can compete with him. Otherwise, it's just not worth watching, right? I don't care what it is. If it's competitive, you might watch it, but not if there's nobody competing with a guy stuffing hot dogs down his mouth. I don't think that's really that exciting. I
just can't do it. It grosses me out. Would you ever do a hot dog eating contest?
No, I probably wouldn't get 2 or 3 down before I'd be tapping out, and I don't want to come last in anything. So no, thank you.
I mean, yeah. First of all, I can't eat the hot dogs the way they eat them. What do you like on a hot dog? I assume you eat hot dogs occasionally.
Well, I used to eat a little more than the good old internet shows you what hot dogs are made of.
I don't want to look at it.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I can't do that. But I'm just a plain ketchup dude or nothing, and depending on where you're at. Like some hot dogs don't need anything. If the bun's right and all that.
Okay.
The Quebec ones, I don't know if you know, and you go to Montreal, the Forum, they're famous for these hot dogs. They don't need anything on them. But otherwise, you got to probably have a little ketchup.
All right. First of all, we have to have a different conversation about ketchup versus mustard. To me, I think once you get older than 7, you got to stop putting ketchup on a hot dog. But I did not hear that about the hot dogs in Montreal. But I'll have to go to Montreal. And
I'll tell you what, right now, if you ever talk to Kevin Weeks again, you have him on, ask him about the Montreal Forum when he was backing up a game and he had to go in, and he was in the locker room pounding St. Joe's, they're called, the hot dogs, and he had ketchup on his jersey, and he had to go in and play. Ask him about that. Get his story about that.
That is hysterical. All right, let me ask you about this as we kind of wrap up the fun portion of this conversation. See, this is what you can expect. We'll have to come to an agreement on when to do a regular spot.
Right.
Home Run Derby, Wimbledon, or the Open Championship, which is more likely to have your attention?
Oh, that's easy. That's not even. What do you think? I would say.
I think your answer is probably going to be the Open Championship.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. And I the home run thing, I'll flip it on for a second or two. It's kind of, there's really nothing else on.
Right.
Like if I'm watching at that time of night, there's literally zero else to watch. So I watch it. But and then in the tennis, I just don't know any of these guys anymore. I was watching it the other day, and I'm an old school guy. When John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors stopped playing, I kind of lost interest. So that tells you how long ago.
That was a long time ago.
I've been flipping the page on the tennis. So definitely be the golf thing.
Okay. Well, the reason I brought it up, because the athletes that play tennis, and Wimbledon is different because the points are so much shorter. But I think the French Open, the final was over 5 hours. Yeah. Could you perform an athletic event for 5 hours? Can you imagine that?
Yeah, you definitely could. I mean, that's when you're the top of your game. I don't think I'd do it if it was for fun. But, if that's your job, then yeah, that'd be 100%. I'd be all in on that. But yeah, you're right. It's starting to, that's a long time to watch an event.
Yeah, I missed the first set and lost the rest of the day watching that. And it was an amazing match. The two best players in the world, Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, who you may not know because you haven't watched since John McEnroe retired.
Right. I just started kind of watching this last weekend, so I caught up. But like I said, that's why I knew I was so outdated. So anyway,
for Father's Day, I got a pickleball set. Have you played pickleball yet?
Well, that's the hashtag old folks game that we have definitely transitioned into, and we have some great matches now. So actually, we actually, believe it or not, have one in my backyard.
Really?
We have a little sport court, and we play pickleball as a family. And Sean Hill and his family come over, and we have some good matches. So I actually enjoy it because obviously it's a lot easier than tennis.
I know Justin Williams is a good pickleballer.
Yeah, he's good at everything. Him and Jacob Slavin, they have some good matches. So yeah, that's been the new thing for sure.
All right, that has to be the new Canes website deal. You have to have a team pickleball tournament, and they have to put it on the web.
I don't know. I don't think at least it wouldn't be a 5-hour match. I can tell you that.
That is good. All right, sir. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate your time. We'll talk again very soon. We'll come to an agreement on a regular time spot.
Yeah, I was kind of joking, but yeah, okay. I know how it works. Whenever you're missing or you got some dead time, you ring me up. That's fine. It's all good.
All right, good. I'm glad you like that. All right, take care.
Brother.
Bye.
That was fantastic.
I was just kidding. I don't want to do it. Yeah, we'll do it.